Hey everyone, my name is Madison and welcome back to my channel. Finals are pretty much here. They're just around the corner and I thought I'd take the time to sit down and talk to y'all about how I study for finals and tips, tricks, and advice I have for you preparing for finals. I am currently in my junior year studying aerospace engineering, so these might be more tailored toward like engineering STEM type classes and what works for me. In my classes, I don't do a whole lot of like memorizing, flashcards, definitions, stuff like that. It's all about like applying like equations and formulas and making assumptions and all this kind of stuff. So that's definitely where I would say these study skills kind of play a factor. But regardless, I think you'll probably get some use out of this video. I have done a study video in the past that y'all seem to love about online study tips and advice, so I thought I'd take the time to talk to y'all about what works for me. Before we begin, I just want to say good luck with all of your finals, y'all. If it's your first semester in college, don't stress too much. I think finals sound really scary, but I think if you are willing to start studying early and not get overwhelmed, they will go well. That being said, do not take them lightly. I think they should definitely be taken seriously depending on the weight of your final as well. And really try to prioritize what your grades are, which classes you need to study more for, and things like that. So let's just get started. Alrighty. First things first, I would recommend that y'all make a final study plan over a week before your finals. Write down everything you want to do for every single class. Write down all the practice exams you want to do. Write down all the notes and chapters you want to like relearn and rewrite. Figure out what homeworks you're gonna like correct, redo. Figure out what you want to do within the next week, 10 days, whatever it is. I would say give yourself at least a week ahead of time to take the time to sit down and do this. So for me, I like to get a new notes page. I write down every single thing I'm going to do for all of my 4 classes. This semester, my main points of studying have been, I make what are called master guides, where I will go through and try to condense all of my notes for whatever given period of time into just a few pages. For finals, I normally try to condense my notes into about 5 pages. This way I can kind of just hit all the big bullet points, make sure that I'm remembering the bigger concepts from a few months back. I feel like typically during finals, they want to test your knowledge of the general concepts. They're not trying to make sure you remember this tiny little thing she mentioned, you know, for 5 seconds in the middle of your lecture in September. No, they want to make sure you're aware of these larger concepts and the broader ideas and know how to apply them. So keep that in mind when you're studying and when you're going through making these study guides and master guides. Number 2 is make a calendar. Now that you've kind of figured out everything you want to get done in the next week or 10 days before a specific final, make a calendar for how you're going to get there. I would say every day dedicate between 30 minutes and 2 hours to each class. It really exhausts me and it causes me to honestly be less productive. So set a limit for yourself on how much you're going to do each day. Within that calendar, write down everything from the office hours you're going to, the classes you have, maybe there's review sessions, study help rooms, things like that. Put those on your calendar. Color coordinate your Google Calendar if you need to. And really, block out chunks of time for when you're going to take an hour and a half to do a practice exam, or when you're going to take 30 minutes a day to work on your crib sheet. I know all of my classes allow me to have a crib sheet of some kind. A crib sheet normally is 1 to 2 pages front and back that you have to handwrite yourself. This is for things like notes and equations. You can't put any examples normally. But these normally take me like 4 to 5 hours. So if I do it for 30-45 minutes a day, I can get it done in a reasonable amount of time. One piece of advice when you are making your calendar is to be honest with yourself. Are you realistically going to be able to focus and work on one class for 5-6 hours a day? I know that I personally can't. Maybe if you think you can study that way, awesome. But I would rather study for every single class 2 hours a day than study for one class for 8 hours a day you know, and the next day only study for a different class. I don't find that works for me. I feel like I get burnt out a lot more. And I don't end up processing things quite as well when I'm hyper focused on one thing all day. Number 3, I would recommend that you find your resources ahead of time. If you know that tomorrow you're gonna work on a practice exam, have that practice exam ready before you go sit down to take it. If you know you want to do, you know, some reading or some practice problems from a certain chapter of the book, have that planned out ahead of time while you're making your calendar, while you're figuring out what you need to do for the next day, before you're taking a part of your 2-hour segment that you've delegated for yourself for that class. You don't want to be using those 2 hours scrambling to find things to do, scrambling to find practice problems, resources, things like that. I really find that if I have a set plan down to the exact problems I'm going to be working on and I know where everything is, I really get a lot more done because I am able to focus during that time. And I'm not quite as scrambled and frazzled. I know every professor is different and it can be quite hard to find practice problems and resources to help you study for your exams. But honestly, I would just say ask around. A lot of my friends will recommend practice problems from the book that they've done that have worked for them that they suggest I try. We actually have like an aerospace drive that like past students, seniors, like students that have graduated have put copies of their old exams in the drive. So there aren't a ton of them. There's only a few. Honestly, some of them will be like 8 years old. Written by a totally different professor, but it's still one more resource for you to do some extra practice problems and to get a better idea of what sort of things you're going to be tested on this exam. Number 4 is going to be set bedtimes for yourself. This is something I am so guilty of. Maybe not on finals week, but especially like the week or two before, or like when midterms hit and I'm still doing like homeworks and things like that. Some nights I would literally go to bed at like 3 a.m. because I'm like reading the textbook super late or trying to get ahead on like a lab or a project. And this might be fine and feasible during, you know, other parts of the year, but finals time is one time I really would advise against you getting less sleep. And I think everybody would too. Setting bedtimes for yourself really forces you to just forget about it. It doesn't even have to be the time you're gonna go to bed. Just, you know, maybe 11 o'clock every single night you're going to close your computer. Being able to distance yourself from your schoolwork and your stress, at least for me, really helps me just kind of stay focused, try to not get overwhelmed, and allows me to say, okay, I'm done for the day, I'm going to tackle this tomorrow. Or I'm confused on this right now, but I'm going to, you know, we're going to figure it out later. And not that pushing everything to the side is like a great idea. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying there needs to be an ending point. And sometimes, you know, beating the bush or whatever the saying is, isn't beneficial. So find a time that works for you when you're willing to every single night call it a day and stop your schoolwork. Like I said, you know, hammering it into the ground sometimes is more detrimental than it's worth. Number 5 is reward yourself. Whether it's like a little coffee, going to Starbucks, whether it's, you know, 30 minutes on YouTube, maybe it's a walk, going to the gym, let yourself take breaks and reward yourself. I guess that probably came out wrong because things like going on walks and going to the gym, in my opinion, shouldn't be like a reward. That should be something that you should be doing for your own mental health anyways. And maybe it looks different for you. Maybe it's, you know, just getting some fresh air, or I don't know, going to the grocery store, but get out of the house. Let yourself, you know, clear your mind, do something new, and within there, do reward yourself. Little things like Chipotle, coffee, whatever it might be, little things that can kind of keep you going, cheer you up a little bit. As superficial and lame as it sounds, honestly works so well for me. I recently found out that the little cafe at the aerospace building has vanilla steamers for like $2, and oh my gosh, they're so good and it's so cheap, and I don't like to have a ton of caffeine, so this is like a perfect little treat for me when I just want something warm and cozy. It definitely boosts my spirits and kind of keeps me going. And number 6, I would say to make checklists. I cannot tell y'all how beneficial and motivating it is for me when I see everything that I've gotten done that day, and can really reflect on what I've gotten done and what needs to get done tomorrow. Notability now has a planner like little template. If y'all haven't tried Notability, it's the If y'all haven't tried Notability, it is my personal favorite note-taking app. There was an update about a few weeks ago that now has templates, and one of them is a planner. And on here you can write out all of your to-dos and check them off. And being able to physically check something off my to-do list really is beneficial for me, and really kind of makes me be able to reflect and stay motivated about what I'm doing, what I've gotten done, and what else needs to get done that day. If you've made a calendar and you figured out what you need to do, I highly recommend you put it into some sort of a checklist form. That way you get that little serotonin boost every single time you complete something and accomplish something for the day. But anyways, I hope you all enjoyed today's video and found some benefit from it. If y'all have any questions about studying, finals week, things of that sort, please feel free to ask me any questions below or on Instagram. I have been trying to be more active on Instagram lately. I'm not always the best about that, but I promise I'm trying. So I hope you all have such a great day. I really appreciate all the love and support, and I will see you next time. Peace out. Bye.